Yeah, I know that it was an incredible reduced price.
Oh, yeah.
Because it really surprised me when I did it, and we were told it's 85 cents an acre, 83 cents an acre, something like that.
Well, it depends, because there's 3 grades of it. It depends on what grade you have.
Okay.
That's all I have.
All right. So no exonerations today.
No, sir.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for what and your team for everything you do and keeping these under control.
You're welcome.
Need to approve first half payroll.
A motion to approve.
Second.
What's the date?
What's the date, Ruth?
28.
That should be second half payroll then.
Yeah. I thought you had approved first half. Yeah.
Okay, second, I approve second half payroll, 26, thank you.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Yeah. Approve vouchers and invoices.
The only thing on there is that one big check. So they hadn't got their check, we mailed it in December. And after we put a stop payment on it, this week they received the check. So that's the office and it went out. So,
Okay. Need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve vouchers and invoices.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Any minutes? No. Okay. Estate settlements?
We do have a state settlement.
And just say I make a motion to approve the state settlements. To read all these off.
Yeah, we
You don't have to read them.
No, we include that in.
Do you want to see them? I'll let you. Perfect.
You use the name?
Yeah, I got all the settlements in here that I got to sign.
Did you already?
Yeah, he did. Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Okay. Exhibit A agenda.
All right, the first thing is the approval of the appointment of Steve Eads of Amstead as a member of the planning commission to fill the unexpired term of Van Burt. The term to expire on August 3rd, 2021.
Everybody good with that? We'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Passes. Tom, you gotta get the.
Oh,
back room also. Okay.
All right. The next one is approval of the appointment of Heather Johnson as a member of the NRGRDA board. The letter and her application form.
You have any questions? You don't have anything?
I can fill you in on it if you'd like to be filled in on it.
Oh, I know her.
I don't have any objection to it.
Okay. Let's roll.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we've had a motion to second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's passed.
Okay, so the next one is the West Virginia Community Corrections Grant Program application. For fiscal year, it should be 2022, I think. Is it ending 22?
Yeah, it's 22.
And an MOU between the FCC and the Fayette County Criminal Justice Court for approval and signature of President Brennan, and a change of authorized official on the grant adjustment.
No, we didn't have a second piece of paper to sign on Heather's appointment.
No.
NRGRDA just needs a letter.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't need to go more. That change form, we can fill out.
Okay.
Don't we usually have a figure on here, or is that something that comes later?
For the community corrections?
Yeah.
It's right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's on there. It's 145.
145.
Yeah, it went up
Last
there.
year they were awarded, I think they requested the same, but they were awarded 110. last year.
110.
That's what they're requesting, but
Okay,
Um,
okay, that's what I said.
their fees were collected, I think, make up the difference.
Okay. Okay, a motion to approve this, anybody has to see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Please can't start calling you Miss Allison yet. It's coming.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second on the community corrections grant application. All those in favor?
Amy, will you get me a copy of that after? The community corrections one?
Okay, so I got 3.
Yeah, she couldn't.
Oh,
That's okay, I put it in number 2, and I'm like, this doesn't look right.
That's not numbered. All right. Are we ready? Thank you very much.
okay, and then the last one is the USDA Agricultural Marketing Services W agreement between the Fayette County Commission and Sprouting Farms for approval and signature. And I was asking Amy, I don't know if like Susie or somebody's on there, to explain this to you guys. It looks like it's just a grant.
So, I mean, that obligates us no matter what, once we sign it, is that correct?
There's no charge. It's just a
Okay,
grant for X amount of dollars.
okay.
I already read that one.
You have to initially.
I'm happy to explain if anybody has questions about it.
Thank you, Susie.
Susie, can you explain it to Commissioner Luisas and me?
Yeah, so this is another LFPP grant in which we are a sub-awardee. Sprouting Farms is the awardee, and I think 2 important things to note about it is that it's a 3-year grant, and so there's money allocated just for salary and fringe, and this is funding Dina Hornbaker's position as the aggregation, distribution, and sales manager at the farm. The grant is to really increase sales and develop accounts here in Fayette County so that we can get more local food products sold in the area. It's continued aggregation and distribution work. We don't have any match on it, so it's basically $34,000 towards salary and fringe for Dina's position to do the work that we're already engaged in and requires no match from us.
Yeah, there's no cost. Correct, Susie, there's no cost to us.
Right. Well,
That's
and
correct. We are not required to match on any of it. I believe that you can see that on the first page. So the total sub-award is $34,125 and the total match commitment is 0.
as she mentioned too, that position does have a focus of expanding the farm's efforts to the entirety of the county, and not just
Correct.
certain areas.
All right, any other questions for Susie?
Okay, I move that we approve in the present room and sign this document.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Okay. We may have to, I'll hold on to this to do them with the state settlements. Because now it's 9:15 and we need to go into executive session to discuss the county administrator selection. So we'll be right back.
We have to move to go into executive session.
Oh, yeah.
for the
Okay.
notice.
Go
I
ahead.
move that we go into executive session to discuss the county administrator selection.
Not second.
And it's 9:17. Okay. Let's, Anthony, we'll need you with us. Okay. And Ruth will ask that you stay here at this point in time. Thank you.
I'm gonna need a booster seat for my chair because I can't stand it up every time.
That's funny.
That sounds like a negotiation.
Yeah, you gotta let us.
What do I get?
Bad down.
Tommy got up here before he said he started doing anything.
Yeah, Charles and stuff.
You understand why I was asking us to get that budget sheet? I just punched a hole. It was under, right through a good number.
They don't do that.
She makes t-shirts, right?
These numbers that you gave her, this is just more or less estimate of how much, I mean, in 1819, 10,000 Montgomery, and this last time, 6,000 published, right? Rough estimate.
Oh, yeah, it's a rough estimate, yeah. Because they didn't used to be labeled,
Right.
labeled now, but.
But it's just, that's what, bottom line is about a savings of $10,000 or more.
And, yeah.
What, and what? Well, I knew they are, but, you know, she's gonna ask to come to see them and stuff. I'm not going there to do what, I mean, it's bad down bad.
Well, it wasn't so many complaints, but the rate was really high, so I left my house at 7 o'clock.
When I went to the gym at 5 o'clock this morning, it was just wet. Came out and started sleeping about 6:20. And I said, it's gonna get bad. Went home, started watching I had watched the last thing, when they went to the season of LA, what's it called? Just went through my head. Anyway, it's a cop show. And it's the first season I finished watching. I wanted to watch that this morning to finish out the season. And I looked at that last thing about 40 minutes, 30 minutes, I think the thing runs. I looked at it and said, God, no, Nash called us, but she had to be up early this morning to go get tested.
Is she going?
Yeah, it's bad at things.
What about?
They cancel school.
Pena?
She's in Pittsburgh right now. Her boyfriend's granddad died. And she said it's bad up there. But they cancel school in Glenville.
Did they?
She tested negative on her rapid test. Another girl on her team tested positive. They did a regular test on all of them again. It's crazy.
Isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I was supposed to go to Charleston this evening, and they called us last morning, said we didn't have to come. They changed it up how they want to do that there. Did you get that email I sent you? You never called me. I didn't know if you wanted.
Well, I was, no, I don't ever listen to that stuff, because then they just send it out.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I got a
It's
meeting,
not, I mean, there's potential.
but I got a meeting today. Who's the other guy? Email at, what's his name? Jonathan sent me
Mhm.
at,
Jonathan,
is it
Adler,
Adler?
Waco.
I don't get his anymore.
Let me forward to you.
Mhm.
And this is where I sit on the board now.
Well, but we've got kicked off both our boards somehow, or both our websites somehow.
Yeah, I told him to.
And Ricky went and had one to Selena.
That's what she told
She
me.
got like out. Yeah, that was one of those. Like she, yeah.
So it's good, we should open up the curtains. Get some entertainment during the executive session.
Was it you that said?
Yeah.
We're not parked, but I'm not parking with you.
This stuff they trying to pass, man, it's gonna kill the county.
So the governor wants to eliminate personal income tax and increase sales tax. But all that hurts is people on fixed incomes,
Right.
you know? They're not getting any more money, but their expenses are going up. I hate that.
Property tax assessment generally, must send this to you, this email, it's pretty,
This is the ad valorem, or
this is the stuff that they try to pass. out.
yeah, I went through and read that stuff, like,
I'll send it to you.
they're so good. I meant to bring this up. When they come back.
The census thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
This says we're awesome.
No, that's nice.
In that station.
I just want to see what our numbers are.
Pretty close.
What are our numbers right now, about 40, we're down below 40,000 residents. We don't know yet.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do about my mailbox.
I got mine cleared out somehow. So I think I deleted it.
So if you archive it, does that still go against your storage?
I don't.
I'm 92%, I'm not gonna let this thing else. So, GST has a tax software, did you know that?
But I'm still stealing. We stealing software systems. They got too good of a, they are really good at the helping, you know what I'm saying?
Like,
Yeah.
that it's gonna have you something.
Well, the thing is, I think what will happen now, see, they have a monopoly on the state for a long time, and these other companies, so they got lax. So I think it'll pick up, you know.
As soon as they come out, I'm gonna have to go print some stuff out.
Okay.
But. I'm sure it is.
I'll
I'll do it while Cher's talking. Gina just sent it.
I just have about
If
5
you
minutes.
forward it
That's
to
all.
me, I can print it on there.
I just need 5 minutes or 15 minutes.
Can you print to that one in there?
Here we go.
Yeah. Just send it in there. So there are 2 attachments. Just print it. Really good too, that everybody see it.
We need to take another one of the pictures this year.
Yep. I meant to have Debbie tell me all these people were before she left. I know some of them.
I know the majority of them.
Maybe we can piece it together.
Sharon, it's her man. Oh, man.
Hopefully that will, that's what's written.
Sorry.
They were built there.
I know.
I hope it's-
If it does, that's fine. I've been printing front and back because everything's too much lately.
Yeah, yes.
Just really.
Oh, I love that picture of it. The Amy found.
Yeah.
I just printed those in my office,
I don't care.
so that's really all.
Luckily. You're the gatekeeper today. You know.
See, I don't want to recover, I want to delete all those, maybe that's my problem. The Cypher said he slid this morning too. In between Wolf Creek and the Gabe.
You notice there's what happens. I'm not almost to this year, I was just kidding. Anthony, that thing you were talking about, Mike,
Mhm.
there is a huge potential that you have to justify all of it
Right,
instead of,
right.
you know what I mean?
They're talking about like 65 billion for all counties and stuff. Yeah.
That's right now.
But here's what I'm saying about it, Ruth, is like you and I said the other day, use this money sparingly, use this money for the purpose of getting things up to date that's so far behind the board, this stuff, you know, and get where we need to be. And then come up with maintenance for these things and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Just like I did, I mean, it's not the same, but it is kind of, but it's just like Project Office, we always bought desks, 15 desks all the time. Well, that's expensive. So make it a year less. Now we probably take a 5 year, they give me this, and it's 5 year, 5 year. But what keeps hurting us is we gotta hire people. That's what hurts.
You know, you got 2 leaving.
Yeah.
And one's gonna be gone for a while.
Yeah.
And that's so exciting, man. I tell you, that's a good choice.
What's that?
The flight mate.
Yeah.
I mean, there's massive potential for him, and he's not.
And again, you know, everybody says, you get, I don't get upset, I get upset about it. These guys are young,
And they're better.
and they want to get better, go for it, man. You know, don't do it with like 30, 40. But there's gonna be some that stay here and make a good career out of it. You know, Robert, I think Robert will stay here. Now, I could be wrong, but if we don't, that's, you know, but we was talking to the sheriff, that's what we did, we met all day yesterday. So, Huntington, Calvert County called me. We was on our call, and he called me afterwards. He goes, let me tell you something, Mom. Because we was all talking about, you know, I did the bonuses that time to get some people, which we got 2 good ones, they still here. I said, maybe sign a 3-year contract, and, you know, but they all going, but anyway. Huntington Police Department is giving $20,000 sign bonus if you certified officer. He goes, what can I do? And he was like, I said, you can't do that. The county can't come up with money. Well, then, so Wood County Sheriff, he goes, oh, you think that? He goes, that's bad too. He goes, Harvard PD gave a $10,000 bonus, so he came out with an $8,000 bonus or something. And then I said, you know, my county's not going to do no more bonuses. I said, hey, I mean, I'm full staff. I said, they never do that. I'm not going to ask for it. But I said, you know, they are just keep taking away from the counties, and that's what our concern as sheriffs are. And then on top of that, we were talking about, our executive did a thing in all surrounding states. We're the lowest paid sheriff in the whole nation.
And we're also going to the state. And now we want to get rid of it.
Well, like in Kentucky, you know what the sheriff makes over here? $130,000. Pittsburgh and in Pennsylvania, $140,000 each county. And even in Florida, where their deputies make about what we start out, they make a little bit more. Different counties, Polk County, they start out 42,000. Their sheriff makes $149,000. And what I'm getting to is, and that's why I've been down in the dumps lately. You bust your ass. I didn't get in for the money per se, but it helps my retirement. But now, since I get pay raises, they make more than me. But what makes me mad is, as an elected official, I come here every day. I work all the time, all 24/7. My phone never stops ringing. For $50,000, your son section does nothing. That's what makes me mad. So I started a new schedule for myself.
You know, we got to.
Yep.
Well, I don't get calls on that.
No, but I got a new schedule for myself. Holidays, 3 days a week. It's just sad. I mean, it is. And then we wanted to go to 10-hour shifts because it would save us money in the long run and stuff. But again, you get up to full staff and then you lose 2. You can't, there's nothing you can do about it. I have no idea. I told the guys, I said, don't be going running crazy up down the road. Go somewhere and sit and do TikTok paperwork, do whatever. We try to get we got to do our in-service training yearly, but they waived it last year because of the pandemic. Well, a bunch of us are talking yesterday, not for work, we've been lucky, I had what, 3 or 4 that had it, right?
And it hasn't been bad.
No, but some of the, like, Raleigh County had 18 off.
At once?
Not once,
Okay,
but,
still.
now, he had 8 off at one time,
But yours have always been vaccinated.
not all of them, some of them didn't want it, you know, you can't make them. Judge.
And then they have RNA for them.
Well, I see on CDC now says if you have your 2 vaccines, if you are exposed to somebody that hasn't, you don't quarantine anymore. Of course, they still want us to wear masks, which I understand that, because even if you vaccinate, you can carry it and give it to somebody else that hasn't. And I see where now you wear 2 masks. I can't breathe with one sometimes. And it's funny, that's why I was saying, I was walking up the steps with my mask on, I was like, whoa, get the top. I said, man, I'm glad to shake the net. And then, so I said, after work, everybody's gone, I said, I'm gonna see such. I went back down, took my mask off, walked upstairs, but I think wearing these don't help as much. I really don't. I mean, if you're, I'm gonna start wearing this little blue mask. Go that way. One of my friends was at Walmart the other day, and they called the police on him because he wouldn't put his mask on. But he had a doctor's excuse. He said, I don't carry my doctor's excuse with me. He said, well, you gotta have proof. He was mad in the morning. No, they can't. I guess they can, but it's private property.
Well, they can make you leave.
Yeah, they can make you leave. And that's what, you know, as us law enforcement, because, you know, the place that you don't want to be, you know, people's rights and stuff, but if somebody tells you to leave and you don't leave, then it's trespassing, that's all they control.
I have got to, so one of the numbers on that cellular account was adding Valerie's iPad, the building inspector thing.
Oh, we turned it off?
Yeah.
Did you add it on to AT&T?
I need to, but we're paying for one. You know, an AT&T, so.
I closed all of ours down, we had 2.
Well, I think it's supposed to be his, but his iPad was locked through your cellular, so I feel like you can look it up somewhere.
His cell phone is through AT&T.
I think you can. What I would do, because Samantha, this call it, because it's an iPad, only thing is, you just take the thing out. Well, remember we had 2, we didn't know who the other one was. I said, it might be both of mine, but, so one was mine and one was his. Look, I turned them all off.
So look at your keys, I'll look at this.
So, yeah, because it's still on, right?
Oh, wait a minute, you put it in your, right?
Yeah. The video thing, the video thing. So how much is the thing, the alarm thing?
I told him, oh my God.
Well, yes, I mean, I sent Allison.
They law enforcement.
But it's still on the video.
No, they're not. Everybody says that they're not. I'm just the chairman of the board, that's all I am.
So the buzzer thing?
It's what it was a mask, I mean, the thing, the reader, and what did they want? I got the email here.
Yeah, I have the email.
I just don't know what they were looking for. They were looking for a. Oh, that's what it is. They're looking like the buzzer, like y'all have at the front door of y'all's office up here, or with the, you can see what it is, buzzer in there. That's all it is. And the cost is $1,700. Yeah. They would take that back and give you credit on it. Take mine back. Here's the. I bet you
Felt like I was walking in the tribe.
Are you kidding? You're in there all the time.
No, actually, I've never, ever, in all that time, I presented one case.
Really?
Because Judge Blake always handled all of it, and then Carl handled all of it.
Now, was it Judge Ewing who did grand jury this time?
No, Judge Blake.
Judge Blake? Okay.
Tom had to run the voice.
There's 48 separate cases, but close to 70 defendants. We've got one that pertaining to multiple. And then there's actually two of them. We've got two separate indictments. Both indictments for selling drugs or shopping.
Okay.
The reasons that we didn't do interviews.
Go ahead. I'd start off with that and then go into make the motion.
It's bad down in the valley,
Is it really?
yeah.
I read that it was supposed to be like worse west.
Rock told me coming this morning, it was terrible. And then I talked to a lot of people that live down there, and said it's bad. Greg Clark, you know
I sent
Greg
it to
Clark?
both the commissioners.
She works at the school for years.
I might know her.
She hates going to work very often. And I come back and show them different town. It's bad down there. Bad up here.
Did you get my text I sent you about the lawyer issues?
I haven't got the text in about 2 days. I turned it off and turned it on.
There's just one.
I don't, and Ron has the same problem too. I updated it last night, so I'm hoping.
You should have
Okay.
Yeah.
No, there's just one. There's two pieces of paper on. That's it.
Yes.
Oh, okay, well, oh, John.
Anyway, I was getting,
No,
trying to keep my
I don't
promise
have
to help
one
you
yet.
think.
Oh, here it is. Okay. Lord have mercy. Sorry, John. Okay, we are back out of executive session at 9:39, or excuse me, 9:49.
No, no,
9:39, I was right. Okay, and Allison has the floor.
Okay, first of all, I need to count the number of resumes. We had a number of resumes that we received.
10.
10, was it? I didn't count them. All of us received an email sometime toward the end of last week, I think, of all the resumes that came in. So they came in, the deadline was Friday. We received an email. We all reviewed them independently. We discussed them in session to determine whether we needed to conduct any interviews. Based upon the qualifications of those in the resumes, we did not feel like we needed to conduct any interviews. There were 3 candidates that we felt were strong candidates. Of the 3, we found one candidate that had HR, financial, and accounting experience throughout her career, many, many years cumulative, where others had other types of experience that might have qualified had we not had someone as well qualified as Ruth Lanier. So based upon our review of that, we all agreed that Ruth Lanier is the best candidate for county administrator and that there was no need to interview others. So at this time, I would like to move that we appoint Ruth Lanier as county administrator and allot to her the salary of the previous county administrator, whom she's been actively supporting since she was hired.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, congratulations, Ruth.
Okay, and now on a second related note, I'd like to ask that Ruth, you get a position description together for someone so we can advertise a position description and hire someone to backfill for your position that you're vacating. And any changes in the positions of Ms. Dangerfield and Ms. Boyd, we'd like to see new position descriptions for all three of your front office positions, so we know what your expectations are. Further, and for anybody who doesn't know, any county employee who doesn't already report to an elected official through their supervisors will report to Ms. Lanier. So that means emergency management, the resource coordinator, who else am I thinking?
Sunny maintenance.
Maintenance. They'll all report to Ms. Lanier. And any communication from the electeds, if you need all the commissioners to be involved, just go through Ms. Lanier and she'll make sure that it's routed however she thinks it needs to be routed. That way you'll have one point of contact for everything. That's it.
Should we write a letter for that, for the places you're talking about, or should we just?
It's
do they
a-
already know? Are they already, make sure they already know?
I think she can do that
Okay.
and just let
Yeah.
them know. She can have a staff meeting or whatever she wants
Okay.
to do to advise them. And she can also email the electeds and let them know, she's available for anything they need.
Yeah, it's the same position Debbie had, just a different name. Her name's Ruth. Congratulations again, Ruth.
Probably should deal with an effective date too.
The effective date, in my view, would be today, February 11th.
When does payroll actually start this week? Okay, so,
So
Payroll's tomorrow, so.
yeah, so do it effective Monday.
what day do we have to do it effective for it to go into effect for payroll?
Payroll's already done.
The cycle.
For the first half.
For the first.
The first half will be Saturday or Monday, but,
Sunday,
yeah.
so
This is a
Sunday.
salary position, so. I would just say the 15th or 16th. The 16th, because payroll is the 15th,
Okay.
technically, right?
Okay, so I move this, Ms. Lanier's salary go into effect on February 16th, beginning in next payroll cycle.
No, I agree, that's it.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, our next order of business, I guess, Sheriff, you're going to present that postcard so everybody can see it.
Yes, sir.
You want to bring it on up?
Taylor first, wasn't around, and I'll go a couple of things with you real quick. This will be the second year I requested to be able to send out a reminder to the citizens of the county. Last year, we sent out approximately 11,706 reminder cards. To break it down, in 2018, 2019, our publication list was 62 pages. 1920 went down to 46 pages. I think that has a lot to do with the reminders and other things that were going on in the country. Also, we had 777 less property sold at our state when we did land sale, which was awesome. In the New Haven district, there's 153 different, Plateau 176, Valley 136, Anstead 24, Fayetteville 53, Meadowbridge 8, Montgomery 4, Mount Hope 27, Oak Hill 122, Pikes 11, Smithers 21, Thurman is the top getter every year, 0 was sold. Valley Bridge was 42 different for a total of 777 properties less than what we did the prior year. The thing is about it, when our pages are less, publication fees are less. So in the Montgomery Herald in 1819, and now these are estimates that I received from Ms. Lanier. It was $10,000, 1920 when we sent out the reminders. It cost us $6,000 in the Federal Tribune. In 1819, it was $16,000. 20 to 21, it was $10,000, so $6,000 difference. Publication fees after land sale publication, 1819 cost $18,000. 1920, it's $14,000. So savings around $15,000. The cost of the reminder card that we sent out last year was $5,353 to send out the card. So roughly again, total savings to the county was over $10,000. Looking at the cities out again, middle March, March 13th, that's what time we sent them out last year. So I'm just asking approval that we do this. One, it's a reminder to our citizens. It helps them remind them that they need to pay the property taxes. And again, the cost of the card is around 15 cents per card, and then you got to add your stamp on top of that. So, real brief, real fast. If you have any questions, I can make a copy of this.
I was gonna ask you first thing from a copy, you done like that again, Mike, if you can get us a copy in advance. I was trying to write all this stuff.
I'm gonna give it to you. I
Okay.
usually do. It's just been one of these weeks, guys. A lot going on. But again, the bottom line is the county saved over $10,000. And you know, the two commissioners sitting here now, and Ruth and I have talked about this a couple of times, is that because we received CARES Act money, people got the money and actually paid their taxes, and we're reminded, we really don't know. We'll know more this year, maybe. Maybe we won't, maybe it'll take another year, but I know the counties that utilize this, they said it's a big help, and that's Wyoming County I've talked to, Mon County I've talked to, so it's worked out pretty good, so I'm hoping we can keep this going. And again, I didn't know the pandemic was gonna start last year. Now, I got some slack about it at first. They just worried about getting their tax money, but then I had a lot more people tell me, thank you for reminding us, so we'll try it again this year and see how it goes.
Who prints these up for you? Do you guys have to do it yourself?
No, it's
Do it
just
all?
through software system, who we use now for our tax software system and stuff. They do it for us. And like I said, you can see it, and it might be different color this year. I think different colors every year, just grab people's eyes. So, I mean, it's a good thing. And again, saving the $10,000, that's worth it. And I'll get her to give you copies of this.
Thank you, Mike.
So I'm asking approval.
We're going to all get speakers.
So I'm asking you to approve that we'll be able to do that, and I can get a hold of the software system and get them ordered up, and we can get them out in mid-March. Thank you.
Need a
Yeah.
motion?
I move that we support that effort for Sheriff Durban.
We've had a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, Mike, you do those cards again.
Thank you, sir.
Ruth,
Yes.
I am missing one of these estates. I went through and checked off everything. If you can find that one that's not marked, or take it into them,
Yeah.
ask them if they still have it.
Or if I can quick break, because we got 2 minutes.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Okay.
Oh, no, she won't.
Wow. We can take a break, guys.
But, Kathy from the Humane Society may have put all of our numbers on Facebook and asked people to text us about their budget. I'll let Amy give her my personal number, as a courtesy, and if that's on Facebook, we're gonna have a problem. Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
That's how I about the money, right?
Okay, no problem. Jill's always, what was that? Court proceedings always are the first thing that goes.
Did you get your picture? Like we did that last time?
Oh, I know that. I was hot on that one. They put our pictures, addresses, email addresses, and phone numbers on there the last time. It's gonna get nasty.
I'll tell you what, if they do that.
I'm gonna get it like the right.
Hey, what's happening?
Oh, not much.
I'm just making sure.
Randy, what you want to do?
I don't It might be on my back here. Sorry.
Hey, Amy, I need Kathy's number right now.
This is 2 weeks.
Yeah, it has all of our personal.
That's what I want to make sure.
Yeah, she abused my confidentiality and put my personal number on there.
Hey, also, question on the publication.
Thank you. Yeah, do it for all of us.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you. Spring, you got the response. Spring publication is for 1 week in the fall.
Okay,
Oh, you already made all the copies. You are phenomenal.
You're already in your email.
Yes, I already have it. I got the, great job.
This is the fall application, it's covered 3 weeks, and then the spring. No. This is all the.
That's the 2 times.
That's the 2 times, that's 18, 19, and fall. This is 19, 20, and fall. This was the publication for 17, 18, 19, 16, 17, and fall. This is after that, so it's now. That's the one that's going around. Yes, sir.
We still with the 1 week.
Yes, sir.
I'm figuring this out for it.
Any other questions?
No, I
And
that's fine.
you can also call her. And she can really respond back to you a lot more.
You want to swing that around and pull it out? So you can have a stand to stand at? Now, with Susie out, you need to put a
All
cinder.
right, I know where the.
Well, I just want to make sure that picks up.
Yeah, hey, Gabe, with Susie, you got to put a cinder block there so we can get her up behind her.
Okay, we'll squat down, I'll stand on the.
I'm sorry, Susie, you know I'm gonna pick on you. We got a little break.
No, they don't break. I think we need to specify, like we do all the time around April, mid-April. Because April 19th is when the 2 years passing doesn't match, so I'm saying mid-April. Uh-huh. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I know it's right all over the state trying to get us, so let's see what happens this time.
What year was that?
That's Sharon McGraw on the far left. That's her man, her father, he's in service for it. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he did.
He had.
Yeah, oh, yeah, we rested him.
I can't tell.
He wasn't bad All the way
Their
around.
report, right?
Is that,
I forget his name. Williams.
no, he's not. Yeah.
Oh, man. Who's about to come here?
That's the use for us.
We didn't know this.
We did do this one, that's why I said earlier,
It's been, how long since that one's been done?
1993. But we did one here not too long ago, where is it?
It's, well, you all that one in Cheetah, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. I think I saw that at Debbie's office, she may have taken it.
She might have.
we need to do another one.
Yeah.
Frank, to come and do it for us. Frank, will have it.
He's the only one.
Doesn't mean we're not gonna have it.
Yeah, he's the only one that does it Friday.
Yes.
She meant to take that one off there. That was a 10-day, and the 10 days is not up.
Oh, okay.
So when your sign done.
I just
Lost
didn't
two
know.
more.
I didn't know.
There's two more
what-
deputies.
I mean, so I go
Lost
through those and I keep checking.
One's
Every
going to
time,
state
to make
police,
sure they're done.
one's going, see, I told you, every time I get full staff, it happens.
Yeah, that might, it's that way with every
I know.
position, like.
I know, it's crazy. You hear me, John?
What's that?
Losing two now. One's going to state police, I told you, one's moving to Florida. One's moving to Florida.
Yeah, you told me that,
The other day.
2 days ago. We were playing tag.
All right, y'all have a good day. Good luck on your budget there, brother.
We all know you.
Allison just want to phone call.
Yeah, I don't, hey, I expected that.
I do too, and,
I mean, look at it did to me, I don't know.
So I think that maybe she needs to.
Yeah, what about mine?
That woman's not answering me. It's not looking real good for them at this point. Because John gets nothing but spam.
oh,
We can go to the AT&T store. And then he'll just get one.
I know we had this information in your packet that we sent out on Thursday, but we caught a few typos. We wanted to send this out again. It's the same information with a few updates. I'll be going over this pretty much. And so, for your reference.
okay, it is now 10 o'clock. And Gabe Pena, the resource coordinator, is going to present his budget request. Now, for all of you on Zoom land, each office presents a budget request to the county commission, and then we use that as we work on our budget in March. Each of these budget requests may not be taken because we have a budget in which we have to operate on, and our largest budget expense is our jail bill. Typically, we budget about $1.5 million for our jail bill alone yearly. So we have to operate within a budget as a county, just like people have to operate within a budget for their home, their power, their car, water, sewer, TV, cell phones. I mean, so there's a lot of things that we take in consideration with all of these budgets that will be presented. This is the fourth budget that's being presented to us for this year, or for our next fiscal year, which will start on July the 1st. So, Gabe, go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner. thank you all joining on Zoom to hear about the work that the Resource Coordinator's Office is doing. We have shared the screen here in the commission room so that you can see the handouts that we provided to the County Commission. So you all should be able to see the information that we're going over. I have about a 15-page memo. I'll try to move through it pretty quickly, but it provides a good overview of the work that we are doing and the projects that we're currently overseeing. My name is Gabriel Pena. I have worked for the Fayette County Commission since 2015, March 2015. I was named the resource coordinator back in February of 20. So I've been honored to serve as the resource coordinator for just over a year. The mission of the Resource Coordinator's Office is to serve Fayette County residents. We citizen feedback, we facilitate community engagement, economic opportunity, and effective government by initiating and managing projects in collaboration with local businesses, organizations, and elected officials. So the focus areas that we're gonna be hitting up in calendar year 2021, of course, grant writing and administration, support and standardized operations of county boards and authorities, improve strategic communication with the Fayette County Commission and with the Administrator's Office, and also facilitate effective community input for the 2021 Comprehensive Plan update. If I could go back for a second to the grant writing administration, that's going to be the bulk of our presentation today. But before I get into that, I do want to point out that the time that we spend with our boards, we have 4 volunteer boards: Urban Renewal Authority, Solid Waste Authority, the Planning Commission, and the Farmland Protection Board. And assuming that they meet 12 times a year, the Planning Commission 4 times a year, with a minimum of a quorum, that's 156 hours of volunteer time. That comes out to $3,276 of volunteer time for the County Commission, for county projects. But again, the grant writing and administration makes the bulk of our work. And the Resource Coordinator's Office is currently managing $848,556.50. This does not include $1.8 million in CARES funding and an additional $186,104 for projects that we are partners on. So on page 2, the work of the Resource Coordinator's Office is conducted by, of course, our team members. We have Gia Tyree. She's our CARES Act assistant. We hired her back in August. If there are any benefits of the pandemic, one of them, as far as my office is concerned, is Gia Tyree. She's been a great asset, and she works very well with the administrators, and she helps us keep all of our records, as far as CARES Act funding, very tight, because of course, we are being audited for those funds, and she does a good job maintaining all that information. She is currently covered under the Brownfields grant, which we'll talk about a little bit more later. Abby Newell was just hired in January. She has had to hit the ground running, and I have been able to get funding from the Solid Waste Authority and from the Farmland Protection Board to offset the cost of employing her, so that the County Commission doesn't bear the brunt of that employment expense. And she also provides administrative support to the Farmland Protection Board and Solid Waste Authority. And I'm trying to get her up to speed on all the state grants that we have currently. We'll talk a little bit more about those. And of course, myself, Gabriel Pena, Resource Coordinator. On page 3, we have the farm staff. I will let Susie discuss more about the team that she currently has for New Roots Community Farm and all the different funding sources that help cover them.
Let me get up here so everybody can hear me.
Morning,
So,
Susie.
good morning.
Yeah, so I guess, I consider myself Fayette County Commission staff, and that we operate under the Resource Coordinator's Office. And we now have 3 full-time employees operating on the farm project, 1 part-time employee that is operating on a yearly basis, and then we have 2 part-time temporary workers that serve as apprentices at the farm. All of these folks that work on the farm
project are funded through grants or revenue, project income that has been generated from activities out of the farm. And so before, we just hired on 2 new full-time staff in November and December, and a part-time person in December as well. And I presented this New York Community Farm team overview that allows you all to see the different grants and the revenue accounts that we operate out of to fully fund each of those positions for a year. And so Gabe has in there in his budget presentation the outlays for the resource coordinator's office, and that outlay represents the dollar amount in staff that is funded through grants for this revenue account. And I know there's some questions about what the staff at the farm do, and so I'm happy to answer any of those questions now, or we can just wait until you get through your presentation, Dave, to go over each of those positions, what grants they're funded under, and what they're achieving under each of those grants. So I don't know if you guys have any questions.
No.
Okay.
And I'm gonna follow up and meet with you before we actually make the budget decisions and go through this.
Great. Yeah.
'Cause I know you wanted to talk to me, but I want to have enough, it's gonna take me more time than I have.
Sure.
To talk to you
Yeah,
for today.
there's a lot to get through.
Yeah, we have a lot of information here, so we kind of want to go over it. So on page 6 of your packet, this is the overview of the grants that we're currently managing. When I say currently managing, that means we're still taking care of some FY21 grants, and we have already been awarded FY22 grants. So combined, again, that number is $848,456.50. That includes FY21 and FY22. FY22 thus far, we have $839,895.50. That includes a few multi-year grants, which we'll get to, but I'll like to go over each of these grants that we currently have right quick. So the Courthouse Facilities Improvement Authority grant. We were just recently awarded for FY22. That's a $96,000 grant to do the phase 3 of the HVAC upgrade over at the annex. The Records Management Preservation Board grant. Again, we're currently managing one of those. One of those is for the one that's for FY21 is for the movable track shelving in the tax office. That was actually a sheriff's office. They put in for that grant. And so we're currently helping oversee the contract for the installation of the shelving. Circuit clerk and the Fayette County Commission were just awarded the $13,500 grant for FY22. That is also for the movable track shelving in the circuit clerk's office. And then the Fayette County Commission is going to get how many, 5 or 6 new scanners? 6 new scanners. The memorial building, we got the SHPO grant, the historic revitalization grant for $40,000. And that is to repair the roof. The pre-bid meeting for that project will be taking place February 18th at 2 o'clock. And then the USDA Rural Business Development Grant, that is an infrastructure grant for the farm, $46,287. That takes us down to the Brownfields grant. This is the multi-year grant that we have. We were able to get this, applied for it in FY18, and it runs out October 31st, 2021. This is a grant that I'm particularly proud of. It took me 3 years to get this one right before we got it. And this is all focused on doing redevelopment planning in the Upper Canal Valley. So the document that I gave you all a few weeks ago when Jenna was here, that is one of the planning considerations that has come out of this grant. So we can identify the resources necessary to help fund catalytic projects in Montgomery and Smithers. So that one, we have put in another one for FY21. If we get awarded, we'll put it into action for FY22. And that one's targeted at Oak Hill, do similar thing.
Where have we spent the $200,000 in the valley?
Well, that is mostly on environmental assessments and planning. It's what it is, it's a planning grant. So the environmental assessments are required in order to move forward with financing of any redevelopment project. Again, if they're financing. So specifically, we were able to do the environmental assessment for the Gateway Center. We were able to do the environmental assessment for Ranger Scientific's new facility. And I think we're currently looking at doing one for the Pepto building, if you're familiar with downtown Montgomery, because they want to tear that building down. And then also Oakland School in Smithers. And what's the other one that's kind of a big one? The IAC Center, of course. So actually, I'm glad you brought that up. March 11th, we'll be having a meeting with the Strategic Initiatives Council to do an overview of what all we've done with this grant thus far, all the properties that we have assessed and what the plans look like for that moving forward, according to that redevelopment plan that I provided for you all. I can provide you guys an updated version of that because that is a document that's fluid currently. We do hope to have it dialed in by March 11th to present to the public.
When you say environmental assessments, like Gateway Center is where the mayor moved in.
Correct.
The old Valley Elementary School, right?
Mhm.
And Ranger Scientific, what are they evaluating? Are they just like, is there asbestos? Like, what are they looking into to see if the buildings are rehabilitated?
Good question. Good question. It really comes down to, and this was a bit of a learning curve for me, honestly. They're looking for recognized environmental contaminants, RECs. And if they see that there might be a recognized environmental contaminant based on the history of the structure, based on the architecture, based on what's there, then they will do a phase 2. And that requires the drilling, the boring, the sending off to labs. The phase 1 is relatively rudimentary and basic, but it's just required to make sure that there are no environmental liabilities. Again, if they're going to finance the building, they have to make sure there are no liabilities for the banks to feel comfortable.
Okay, so the purpose is for them to finance the building and then they have to do that. So, wait a minute, are we having this grant, are we using this grant to evaluate the building before the town of Montgomery buys it or town of Montgomery buys it?
Correct.
Is that what we're doing?
Correct.
So they're just trying to make sure that it's usable.
Correct.
Before they can, okay.
All their legal counsel tells them, don't take that building until you are sure that there are no liabilities that are going to jump up and bite us later on.
Okay.
So the phase 1s are roughly $4,000, $4,000 to $5,000 per, depending on the size. The phase 2s, however, like $20,000. So under that grant, we anticipated doing like 20 phase 1s and 5 phase 2s.
And so far, we've done Gateway Center and Ranger Scientific.
A lot more than that.
There's been a bunch of buildings downtown that were checked. Some of them have been torn down because they weren't safe.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So also you'll see on here is another multi-year grant is the USDA Local Food Promotion Program. I'll let Susie talk about that here in a second, but I want to discuss, we also have pending review of ARC construction grants. That's for utility extension of Wolf Creek Park. And then we are currently talking about putting in an Appalachian Regional Commission power grant. A lot of our partners who we work with on the farm, and again, so we'll get into that. But I wanted to point out the CARES Act funding. I think Commissioners Luisos and Brenneman, you've seen this before. This is some of our record keeping as far as all the funds that have come through CARES Act. And again, that's 1.8 million. I'm sorry.
Wait, have we moved to page 2? So what is an ARC construction grant? What does that go to?
Now, again, that would go to Wolf Creek Park to do the utility extension. Appalachian Regional Commission, and it's actually managed by the Development Office. So it's a state grant where the federal funding funnels through the Development Office, and the Development Office sends projects that are submitted to the ARC for their review.
Is that the one we were denied, or is that a different one?
That was the, I don't get denied grants. No, that was.
There was a denied grant.
That was AML, and we did not put that in. That was the land trust that put that in. That was not a Fayette County Commission. That was not a URA grant. That was land trust that put that in. And so.
Okay, so, and then on ARC Power, have you applied for that before? Because I read about that. We got some.
I have not, we have not applied for it, but we have been sub-recipients on a number, one or two.
Currently a sub-recipient on 2 ARC grants.
And a lot of that goes towards the turn row distribution network. I think you're familiar with. And yeah, and what again, Susie will talk more about this, but in our time, in Susie's time working with the turn row network and all those partners, she's seen a lot of inefficiencies And there's an opportunity, we feel like, to bolster that program, to bolster the terminal network by locating the warehouse in Fayette County, potentially at the farm. We're still working on that. We have a call tomorrow with the development office to discuss our project concept. And we feel confident that we have a fundable project.
I might actually want to listen in on that call.
Sure.
But the power grid, the ARC power was the one specifically I was referring to, because I just didn't know if we had availed ourselves of that. Seems like it's an annual thing according to some literature I got yesterday from the Commissioners Association. Okay.
So, all right, so on page 9, beyond the CARES Act ledger there, I have this grant program overview again, but the difference here is it includes the match that the county commission has put forth. Of course, you know, we can't catch any fish on any bait. So $70,000 of match from the county commission. And I included that with a $105,639 request that the resource coordinator's office put forth for our budget for FY22. And so if you include the match and the RCO budget request, $175,640, and given the return on investment in grants, that translates out to a 378% return on investment. So $3.78 for every dollar you put into your grant strategy for the county.
I'm trying to find what page you're on now.
Page 9.
Nine.
Page 9. Sorry, there's 2 of those. I can go ahead. Sorry. So if we weren't without match, if you were just investing in the resource coordinator's office and without the match, that's $6.95 per dollar you put in the resource coordinator's office.
Just because I'm thinking of it. I think we need to put in for another courthouse facilities improvement because of the sewage issues over there. And I'll tell you, I asked the people who brief on that and approve those at the commissioners conference, if that's something like that would qualify, and they said it would.
I'd love to talk about the next step because I've been tied up with HVAC for the past 3 years. And I know there are other needs, so we can move beyond the annex HVAC this coming year, but that won't be till November. So we have some time on that. And I don't know how bad the problem is. If we can wait till November.
I don't think we can wait till November. That's why. So we can follow up on that later.
Absolutely. Let's see. So yeah, that's the return on investment. And then after that, there is my budget ask, my budget request, and the breakdown. You will notice that on row 103, sub number 1, salary and wages of employees, there's $161,815 there. That's the outlay that the county commission will have to front basically in order to continue employing our farm team. And all these grants that I currently mentioned are all reimbursement based. None of them are lump sum fronted to us. We have to put in our quarterly reports and make the requests at that time for reimbursement. So that's what that number is. Now, Susie tells me that that might be a little bit low based on some of the other grants that we're getting. And this is only through November 21. That's when all of our grants kind of start running out. Our grants aren't all in sync with the fiscal year. So
I would say to add to that, the other thing is that, right, all grant funded staff are hired on a 1-year basis. So we ensure we have the funding, the grant funding to hire somebody for a full year. And then we continue to fundraise and bring in project revenue. And as we approach that 1 year, you know, we assess what money is available to keep staff on board and for their adjustments. So it just looks at like the staff on their 1-year basis.
So again, here's my budget ask, the heart of the presentation right here. You know, I enjoy my work with the Fayette County Commission as the Resource Coordinator's Office. It's definitely challenging. And I've been here for it'll be 6 years in March. We've seen a lot of changes upstairs. But I feel like we, at the end of the day, are stewards of county resources the same way you 3 are. And we take that very seriously. So with that, if there are any questions?
I do have one question. You
Yes, sir.
mentioned the 4 organizations that you work for. Who was it again?
We work with the Urban Renewal Authority, Solid Waste Authority, the Farmland Protection Board, and we do minutes for planning commission. And this year we'll be working more with planning commission than we have in quite some time due to the update of the comprehensive plan. If there are no further questions, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Susie to talk about the farm project and the transition. I just have to note that the farm project has definitely, in my opinion, been a success based on the amount of funding that's been invested by the county in that project and the amount of attention we've gotten, the amount of funding from partners. So,
You got a little bit ahead of me. I know that we have 161,815 going out to the farm.
NGA is in that too,
That's all the grant funded
correct?
That's all the grant funded programs.
staff, just
Staff.
yeah.
So if I look at your 2021, the budget was 109,317.
Yes, sir.
And if I take the 267,454 minus the 161,815, that's 105,638. It looks like you're going down like 4,000 bucks.
Correct.
So what are we losing the 4,000 bucks in?
Well, the extra help line that was there,
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of contingency last year in the event that as I took over, we made a transition in the resource coordinator's office, might need to hire somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do that. So that's kind of been lumped into the request for the assistant resource coordinator and also been offset some by the $20,000 from the county boards.
Okay, so you asked for 109,317 last year,
Yes, sir.
which you were granted,
Yes, sir.
and you had almost 30 grand in extra help, but you didn't use any of that 30 grand.
Nope.
Okay, so
We had that extra
you
help in
only
there.
used 79,317.
Well,
Do
we,
you have a document you don't have? Where are you getting your numbers last year?
On page 10 or
I
11.
think some of that money is used for raises and
It was for Abby, was it not? That extra help?
I thought some of that was used.
for calendar year, some of it, yes, and that comes back to this second page, which for her, we are asking $22,899 from the county commission.
Okay, so we're talking around in circles here, Gabe. You had 109,317 you asked for. You just said you didn't use the 29,450. So that gave you a budget of 79,317.
So, okay, yes.
So now, if you look at the 79,317 and we're going to 105,638, that's an extra $26,321 you're asking for this year.
We had anticipated taking care of the salary, part-time salary for Olivia Tiger, but that didn't work out. So we had to let her go, and she didn't spend nearly as much time as we anticipated. So we budgeted for that. But some of that also from Olivia should go into Abby's salary. Again, the extra
That's
help.
what's getting spent down between when Abby was hired through July of this year. That's my understanding of that extra money, is that it's starting to get spent now on Abby's position.
It's not kind of confusing, it's a whole lot of confusion.
What
That's
does
what I've been saying for
fringe mean?
6 months.
PEIA.
I
Oh,
also feel like
your benefits.
I mean, what we have are more people and what looks like a $3,000 decrease in budget. And how we've been able to onboard people with grant funding.
But to me, you need to separate what your cash is and what grant fund is.
Oh, I'm
And that-
sorry, that's right, I'm
I
sorry.
mean, that's what, and then you need to separate it out So actually, the commissioners know where this money's coming from
Right.
and where this money, you know what I'm saying?
I
So
do
if
need
you can do that for us, I think that's what John's getting at.
Gotcha. Yes.
And that's what I've talked about from the last 6 months that I have fussed about and quarreled about, is because it's so wired and it's so confusing. We're having a hard time figuring this out.
Gotcha. Yes, I did lump that additional $20,000 into that 103 line salaries of wages and employees, that $20,000 from the protection board and solid waste authority into that 76.
Okay, this is what I'm gonna ask you to do, Gabe.
Yes, sir.
And I'll let Allison and Tom weigh in on this, but as Tom said, this is a large cluster that we're looking at, a lot of numbers. It's not broken down enough to where we can understand where all the money's coming from.
Gotcha.
If you had $50,000 that you're using to pay for help out of grants, who are those people's names? How much did they make? And is it under a column grants or is it a column cash? Second, extra help. List the people. List the names. Show who they are, because, I mean, I'm fairly great with numbers, so is Tom, so is Allison. And Tom and I are having an extremely hard time on trying to figure out.
Oh, I am too.
Okay, thank you. Trying to figure out where exactly it's coming from. The more that you break it down to make it the easier for us, the better off it is, because right now I'm like a sheet blowing in the wind, trying to get dry from all these wet numbers that I'm looking at.
And it's pretty bad when you can't explain it like that. Or what you're explaining doesn't jive. I
Well,
mean,
if you subtract the $20,000,
just do this, just like John said. Cash, what we're obligated for, and grant would help us tremendously. And to separate it for us.
sure.
And then,
Get it down on our level, Gabe.
and then do we go back and fill that in, so anything that's grant is in that outlays? I mean, is that how the official budget request form will look?
Ruth, you know what we're looking for. Will you help them?
Yeah.
Thank you, Ruth.
Please, yes, please and thank you. And it would help us, plus get us through this a little bit easier.
Sure.
Now, up until this point, I mean, I was understanding everything. And I knew a lot about it, but here, this is just, it doesn't do anything for us.
Sure, that $20,000 I think is where the miscommunication is. So I'll make sure that that's lined out.
Okay, so I'm just going to stop you here for right now.
That's fine.
And please get this back to us at another point in time so that we can go through this. The rest of this stuff, the budget for the farm. Susie, is it the same way as it's set up with what cash you have? Actually, let me ask you this. How much cash do you think you have for the farm account?
What is the farm account? The revenue account?
How much do you have to run the farm on? Actual cash, or is it all grant related?
So, it's both. So we have actual cash in the Newark Community Farm Revenue Account that was opened in March of
Okay.
2020. That account is managed under the URA. We currently have $39,000 in cash in that. So that's real cash. That's for the farm project. Most of that is going towards backfilling on these staff positions. And then the rest of it is grant funded. That's all for staff. So all staff expenses are either coming out of a grant budget. And I have, I've presented this before, that's the same table up there. So that's each position, every account that is paying for that position. And then in terms of cash for the farm, the other account that has cash in it that is designated to be used for retirement excise tax revenue account, also managed under the URA, and there's approximately $28,000 in that account. So we have 5 grant accounts,
nearest community farm revenue account, and then we have the excise tax revenue. And we did have that apportioned amount of the full reallocated. So the farm technically, if you want to look at each grant as an account, right, we've got 8 of them operating. And so all of the grant accounts are not real cash, they're reimbursements. And then we have excise revenue and full reallocated that we spend on them, and those are all cash.
Okay, so you have $60,000 in cash. And then your grants.
Yeah.
Okay, that's easy. That's what we'd like to see. So,
Okay, and my assumption is, you know, that that's presented in here, and then outlining all the money spent to date out of either excise, full reallocated, and the total of grants that we've been awarded. And then what the expected expenditures would be through the end of this year, and anticipated expenditures out of each of those accounts for fiscal year 2022. And so that's
Okay.
what I put together for you. If you want to look at it, if you don't like the way that that's formatted or it's unclear, I'm happy to like dig into that and make sure that what we bring you is something to understand, because I recognize that 8 separate accounts and 5 of those have really strict things about what we can spend money on. It's complicated, and it takes a lot to like make sure you guys know what each of those grants are for, how we're using it, what the reimbursement process is. And so if there's a particular way to make that digestible for you all, then like, yeah, by all means, that's what I want to bring to you. And so, yeah, what I put together is this budget overview, and it kind of demonstrates those different types of accounts. So investment from the county, leverage grant funds, and project income. So those are like the 3 categories of accounts that we manage.
okay. We all know that there's some accounting issues with some of those accounts. We've had people making payments on homes that we have taken down, and they're sending payments into the county, and they go into that account. There's stuff that we have loaned to PSDs. The PSD payments are coming back. So that's something that we're going to work on and try to get straightened out. Ruth is currently working on that, and she's diving headfirst into it, and we're going to be helping her, and we're going to get that taken care of during March, that account.
I don't know if there can be more specific, but
The dilapidated housing fund?
does this have to do with the farm project?
No, but some of the money that's been put into that account that you may think is part of yours isn't actually yours, it belongs to the county.
It all belongs to the county.
Well, but some of it is for your use and the URA's use, but some of it also belongs to the county general fund, and it needs to get moved back. So we're going to be working on that through March. But yes, if you have that breakdown and you can bring it to us, or is it in this document?
You can look at what this budget overview.
On page 12.
Yeah, so that explains like, you know, and I know that the county wants to have an understanding of the amount of cash and in-kind contributions that have made towards supporting the development of the farm. And so I decided to break that down a little bit more in depth. And so this first table, I don't know, is this what you guys are looking at?
Yeah, that's the first table on page 12.
Okay, so right then we have expended to date. So this is up through this week, the amount of money that has been expended for the farm project out of the excise tax revenues allocated to the URA for this use. And then this is the amount that has been expended from the co-reallocated. The bulk of that was the approval of those high tunnels from Rimmel. And then I went back and decided to do rough estimates on what in-kind contributions have been made from the resource coordinator's office, the prosecuting attorney's office, and the administration staff downstairs, so that the county has a better idea of like a project of this scale also utilizes these resources. And so that gets presented about the investment that's been made by the county to date for the project. And then in the next column for each of those accounts, what I expect to have in expenditures. A majority of that is money that's already sitting in the excise tax revenue account. And then we're looking at anticipated investment, because I feel like the farm project lives in the ether in terms of what budgeting looks like, because you guys have allocated money for it. You know, I want to have a conversation about what that looks like. And we can do that at a certain point. And then the next table explains the to-date amount of awarded grant funds that we've been able to leverage from that county investment. And so for the to-date investments, that would include those in-kind contributions, but I feel like those costs haven't really been articulated or captured. You know, we are about $637,000 in awards of grant monies and donations towards this project, with about $300,000 invested from the county.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the breakdown on where we are in terms of how much federal money we've been awarded to small state and local grants. And then the other includes the Benedum $40,000 to do the feasibility study, and the $68,000 that has been raised to purchase the farm. And then finally, the third table explains the project revenue that's been generated. And so the to-date revenue in RCS revenue is $39,000. This is what we expect to continue to generate through the end of this fiscal year, and then anticipated project income for fiscal year 2022. Because this is also an economic development project, I've included what we've been able to support through the aggregation and distribution work, real dollars and revenue generated for Fayette County and New River Gorge region farmers and food businesses. So this, I hope, gives you guys a sense of like what the investment from the county has been, what type of grant funds have been able to be leveraged from that investment, and what type of project revenue has been generated, as well as revenue being generated for other area farmers and food businesses. Yeah, so that's a way that I broke it down. I don't know if that makes sense, or if you have specific questions about anything in that table.
I just got one question. The $28,803.99. That was what we authorized the other day. Is that correct?
Yeah. So there was 20. That was that total $30,000 that was for debate, and there was that one expenditure that was made in April of 2020, and then the rest of it, that 25.9, was what was just approved. And so, you know, I don't anticipate spending any more money out of that. There's $1,100 left, but I'm ready to move on from that. And we have the current money in the excise tax account. I don't know what the plans are for continued cash support for the farm project. At any time, I'm happy to discuss what that looks like. And my plan has been the way I've developed a strategy for funding and how we continue to operate this farm project is that we're moving towards transition. And that moving towards that transition, you know, we've developed a funding strategy for the grants we want to go after this year. Part of that includes the acquisition cost. And then transitioning, the way we've used the excise tax is to basically replace that funding with the revenue generated from the project. So then I have the capacity to say, instead of using excise tax for matching dollars, we generate revenue as a project, and we want to use that for matching funds, and we want to use that to invest back in the project. And that's been my goal. But I get this, I'm concerned that we're not all on the same page about what the transition looks like, what the components are, who the entities that are involved. So I also included an update on the farm transition plan for everybody to look over. And I break that down into 3 phases. The first phase is complete and ongoing right now. Phase 2 and phase 3 is going to require us to communicate because moving this process of moving a project out from under the county, which from what communication I've had is a good thing for the county. We want to free up resources, cash resources that have been invested, and we want to free up the in-kind contributions that are being made, so you guys can either take on another project or deal with whatever matters are going on in the county and continue the mission of the work that was started and continue to build on the investment that was made. And I believe we have a solid plan on that. And then this week it came to my attention that there were some concerns about what that process looks like. And again, I can't say it enough that I want to talk to you guys about what that looks like, and I want to make sure we're moving in the same direction because it can't happen without communication and participation from the multiple stakeholders that are involved in this process and in this project, and that makes it complicated. But the other alternative, I feel like, is to continue to hold the project in the county, contribute resources to it, or to just kind of fold. And so I don't think either one of those options are desired by the stakeholders, by you all. And so this was the plan that's been put together. You know, I presented on it last spring, and we continue to move forward, and it involves, it just only increases that are involved in the project, and that's complicated. And I think, yeah, my goal would be able to have like crystal clear understanding of what that looks like and what the interests are from the commission and from the boards that are involved.
Okay, well, you made everything very clear. Thank you. First, I'd like to congratulate you on your first year bringing $37,000 in.
Thank you.
That's good. This second year,
One full-time person.
this year should be better.
Should be much better.
So congratulations on that. Did a good job. The way that the transition is laid out, it makes sense. So, I mean, we're just going to keep going forward on that. And Gabe, you need to get those numbers broken down for us, so it makes it a little bit easier to understand.
I got one question. Hey, Ruth, where it says here, the you already appointed $30,000 for the allocated funds to support the farm development. That's part of the 28. Did you already have that? And that's part of the 28.
That's on that chart that you're asking about.
That you filled out, that was, okay. I just wanted to make sure.
All right.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank
And
you.
guys, we got 15 minutes until,
If you don't mind the break.
yeah, I mean, let's take a break. Both of you take a break.
Yeah, I didn't know she already had it laid out to discuss.
Yeah.
Because I had some stuff to discuss, but we can discuss my stuff later.
I just want to say thank you.
All right, we'll see you.
That's the actual number. That's the actual budget request. Because that 20,000 that's coming from the boards, I included that.
Okay.
Yeah, that was, I know, that was the oversight on my part. I wasn't sure exactly where to put it, but that's the actual request. It's closer to the number that she mentioned.
Yeah, so just break it all down to us, and that way you'll have the full intent of how this is going to play out.
Sure.
I mean, there's so many different factors that we have to take into consideration.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, John.
All right, you're welcome.
Sorry about that.
Your budget.
Oh, I wrote all over this one.
It's yours. It's just going to go in your folder.
Oh, right there. I'll put John's name on it.
Oh, did he bring other copies?
Huh?
Did he bring other copies today?
Yeah, that's the one he gave us today.
Oh, because I had them in your packet too. Okay, that was. So
she goes looking for it.
What's the weather outside? Anybody know, other than
Right.
painful? Oh, they were this morning when I came over, there was nothing in Oak Hill.
There's nothing over by where I'm at. It was it's like a thin sheet of ice on the road.
Yeah.
I'm so disappointed in this weather. I would not put snow.
When was it? Monday, Ruth says, we're going to get 8 to 12 inches of snow. I said, no, we're not.
I was so excited.
Well, yeah, that one school that we're supposed to get 2 or 3 on, it was 5 or 7 inches.
Yeah, that's when you got that.
Yeah.
I want to swim to go do swimming. Go to the beach and go around.
I've been doing it down.
Good, how you doing?
All right.
You know, here you took your beard off and here I throw mine back on.
No, mine. Do you mind? I mean,
Oh, it's coming back
I did
on.
the opposite.
Yeah, it's coming back on, okay.
Yeah, I took it off there for a little bit. But
That
they
time
told
that,
me that I want a better seal on my N95 mask.
yeah, well, that time when you come in and you took it all off, it just surprised me.
Yeah, I'm trying to grow the ponytail back out.
Get up and move some. That's the worst thing about having that surgery I had. Now, every time it snows or rains, I hurt badly.
Hip replacement?
No, they.
I didn't hear, sorry.
They went in. And then they made like a half moon in my pelvis and in my hip. Drove wedges in it. And then put the hooks to hook all the nerves up. Going up, back down from the hips.
It worked for the most part though, besides just for letting them get the pressure changes. It's just, yeah.
Beautiful, works great.
It's amazing.
Talking about when you wear changes. Old man arthritis is bad.
I mean, we can always call the gas company.
Yeah, I'm just worried about if there's good knowledge now.
And I was,
I was at my place.
oh,
My phone just went off.
that's me letting somebody in too. That thing gone.
I closed it the other day. What is that? What is that? I don't know what to do about
Hey, I'm out of the camera range now, so. That's why I'm down here on this end.
Did she respond? Yeah, they took it out. You need a hand. Huh? You're right. I have a Google Voice number I can use for that. That will forward to my phone. Okay. But I can answer from my phone and everything. When she called Julie, she was just looking for my number and I said, okay, she's dead. And she can have my personal cell. Is it? I can't do it. And then someone on her staff decided that they So it should be gone now.
You know, they do that stuff every single year.
And I'm like, that is anything. And I'm like, oh, I said, I'll know what that's supposed to accomplish, because we all know we have to. It's a matter of figuring out how to.
Why don't we say, if you're ignorant, you get to see this thing.
Okay, the number is gone, so that's
I mean, well, I don't know.
Is that that same thing that you've been
Mhm.
doing?
They're small packages, they're not.
How can you stand the same thing?
That's the only thing I eat here when I'm here. I don't eat it any other time. My blood pressure gets so high sometimes in here. I gotta make sure that I eat something.
Yeah.
Is it still on there?
I don't know.
No, it's off.
All right, you guys know that Janet couldn't get here this morning because of the ice, so she's gonna be on, soon. Oh, okay, she is on, all right. Plus, there's no school, so she didn't have anybody to watch her 6-year-old today.
Is this? Did we get names and stuff to participate, or do we?
Well, you should have wanted to back doing that today.
Eggs with the vegetables, with vegetables. The eggs and vegetables.
That's not gonna.
I still never get it, my baby.
Is your part done?
What was that? Darn thing gets wrapped around my ear.
How much y'all know about?
My ear's so large, it's easy for it to get wrapped around it.
Oh, so I meant to tell you guys this earlier. We got, a pretty little certificate from the census.
You can do that when we start at 11.
We started a lot.
Yeah.
Any of y'all use Squarespace? So can you go back and get a receipt for something?
Yeah, are you talking about the payment from, are you talking about when you paid them? Or
When
using
you
their
pay
POS
them.
software? Yeah, when you pay them, yeah, generally, they send it through email confirmation that's tied to the account.
Wow. They said there's gonna be more spinach planted this next year than
Okay,
just about anything else. I did.
Peanut butter, thank you.
Yeah.
Do we have, how much time do we have? Just need to
4 minutes.
Breathe. I'm so hungry.
Oh, I don't blame you.
I'm furious.
Is these mine, John?
No good deed goes unpunished.
One
Not a
minute.
single one. Not a single one. I mean, am I dealing with romper room or room?
Yeah. Romper room.
Well, clearly. It was apparently a full board decision to do that, not just.
I want, I'd like to have all their names, all their phone numbers, and all their email addresses for that board. If you could work on that, please.
You probably have the spreadsheet already, don't you?
I did not have an updated one.
I see Mayor Ingram, Joy Boyd, Angela Gerald, Gina Belcher.
Bless Sharon and, Ann
You know, you gotta have that invisible mirror as you're doing it. Brian Smith, somebody
Becky's
named
on there.
Davis, Jordanson.
Mhm.
That's who? Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Becky and Abigail Newell. And somebody else on the bottom.
Who gave us this dilapidated?
Oh, I had requested those for you. It's also in email form. Because we're gonna be talking about those in detail. Because we have some,
During this meeting?
no, it's for future. I was told, make sure I had it all in the future for you.
I'm just,
So I had it early.
I'm just.
Isn't that right, Tom?
Trying to figure
Yeah,
out
actually-
what's what.
That's the Tom
A
rule.
lot of stuff there.
Oh, you don't have to tell me.
That's the only thing I
I've
have
been
given
his-
you.
I've been his victim the first month until I could.
That's what I
begged him to
said.
stop putting everything
That's the
on
only
same
thing
email.
I have given you. The rest of it's been compliments of Tom.
Well, you've emailed me a few things. I got a few emails from you last week about your minutes.
Can we make sure Jenna, hey Jenna, turn your microphone on or unmute yourself or something? Thank you.
Hey guys, how are you all?
Good. How are you?
Doing okay. I hate that I'm not there in person, but it's pretty nasty here. So
Oh, it's nice in Raleigh County.
yeah, the ice is pretty bad and I'm like a chicken on dry roads. So I don't do too well at all in the ice.
I understand that. We would much have you, prefer you to be safe than to be,
I appreciate it.
than to be chancing things, so. It's 11 o'clock. Jenna from NRGRDA is going to be doing a municipal workshop. And Jenna, all of the commissioners have a copy of the agenda and the workshop info that you're going to be doing.
Okay.
So you can go ahead and start.
Well, so I know you guys have the agenda. I'm not exactly sure how many of the municipalities we have on here today. I know we have Mayor Ingram with Montgomery. Are there any others represented on the call?
I don't think so.
Okay, so we probably want to switch this agenda up a little bit. And because we're not going to have each of the municipalities represented to identify their existing challenges in their communities. So it might be helpful, since the three of you are here, for me to identify the three large projects that we see that NRGRDA sees impacting Fayette County as a whole, and talk through how the municipalities are involved in that. One of them is very specific to each of the municipalities in Fayette County, and so we're going to need their active participation in order to be considered as part of that potential program. So I'm happy to provide an overview on those now so that we can talk through what that looks like moving forward, but would look to the three of you all as to how you think we should try to arrange a more in-depth conversation with the municipalities to make sure that they're represented.
I think some of them were under the assumption that their meeting is actually next week, not this week.
Okay. So would it be better to hold it for next week, or do we want to go ahead and review the projects this week?
I would like for you to review it with at least the commissioners and
Okay.
Mr. Ingram, Mayor Ingram's on there too, so
That's fine.
you can give us an overview before we just move it to next week, if that's what we do. I mean, I need to brush up on this anyway, so.
Sure, that's perfect for me, and that's going to keep the agenda pretty light and help provide an overview of what we're working on. So you can see the three big projects that we're working on, specific to impacting Fayette County. Obviously, one is our site development priorities. So the way that I wanted to approach this with the municipalities, and I think it would be helpful to approach this as a commission, we talked about this a little bit last time, is I really need an insight as to what potential sites could be developed as far as infrastructure development, so that we can identify potential funding opportunities to get that infrastructure developed for business recruitment. So I obviously know some of the larger sites that are available in Fayette County, but I do not know, the intimate nooks and crannies like you all do and like the mayors do. And so I would be very interested in working with you all to identify potential sites specifically over 20 acres if possible, that do need infrastructure development on them. And if we can find them adjacent to one another and make a larger acreage impact, that would be phenomenal, because we are expecting a large infrastructure bill to come down from the Biden administration. And we want to have ready projects that need funded for infrastructure development so that we can do some new business recruitment. There are also additional funds that we recognize through the ARC and the EDA that will be allocated soon, specific to sites that can recruit outdoor related companies. And so Fayette County is obviously prime for that with the new national park designation. So I would like to set up maybe a working group of, Tom, I know this is something you're very interested in, a working group of folks that are interested in providing some of those sites, looking at those as what we could develop into a potential infrastructure package so that we can start developing some raw acreage in order to recruit. I'm sure there's some questions there with that, but that's really a high priority for me, because I know that, Tom, especially you have some specific interest, especially in the Route 19 area for development. And we have talked to our federal funders about outdoor companies and recruitment, and they're really looking for projects that are ready for infrastructure development so we can have ready acreage.
It also has the trail initiative going on. I don't know if you tuned into our last meeting, but we stood up a trail alliance, non-motorized trail alliance. So, we could probably build up some businesses and acreage around that effort.
Well, I had some maps and I had some stuff I was wanting to go over, but I'll save it for next week and refine it a little better if we're going to go to next week and week after that I wanted to talk about. But yeah, I'd rather hear everything you have to say first, and then we'll go into that. But yes, I would like.
Sure. And Tom, I think it might be helpful too if we just, again, plan, and I know that Mayor Cavalier has talked about before, she has some potential recruitment opportunities in Smithers that she wanted to talk about with properties over there. And so I think it would be helpful that we evolve into some sort of maybe working group or subcommittee. I know there are a lot of folks interested in this. And so however we can roll out the maps and look and start piecing those together for infrastructure development is really what I want to focus on. It's again, especially in the 19 area, because that corridor leads directly into the, tourism related activities that a lot of funders are looking at since the national park designation. So let's talk about that next week and how we can continue to move that forward. The next thing I want to talk about is the WVU Outdoor Economic Development Collaborative. And so I know that a lot of you all have heard about the $25 million investment from Brad Smith at Intuit to develop the WVU OEDC that focuses on remote worker recruitment. We have been very engaged with the OEDC, but our relationship with them has evolved into a more collaborative effort to recruit the outdoor economy and outdoor industry, more so than the remote worker initiative. So we are working with the OEDC, and NRGRDA is going to apply for an Appalachian Regional Commission power grant to focus on an outdoor industry recruitment strategy, as well as workforce development plan to build and grow the outdoor economy. there are a lot of components that we're still working through with this, and I want to be able to share that with the commission soon. But I think it's going to be very crucial for us to know, because this is very hyper focused on the four county footprint, specifically the outdoor assets in Fayette and Summers counties. We really want to know from the municipalities exactly what sort of outdoor infrastructure they already have in terms of trails, put-ins, any of those outdoor related assets, but also where they're lacking. And so part of that conversation will really help mold our proposal to the ARC to get some technical assistance dollars into these communities, and to really figure out what we need to do in Fayette County and the surrounding area to recruit and grow the outdoor industry. So again, I think this is where it would be helpful for me. We want to start doing some asset mapping in the 4-county area so that it can evolve into sort of an outdoor related database and a user-friendly database for folks to know where they are, what restaurants are around them, what outdoor related businesses are around them. And so I think now that we're in the planning stages for that grant, we want to sort of identify what's already there and work with the communities to tell us what they're looking for in order to support and grow the outdoor economy in Fayette County. So I think that's a crucial part of next week that we want to cover as well. And then finally, the third project is a really important project to us. Typically, NRGRDA does not get involved in community development projects or leading community development strategy. We support other entities like the West Virginia Community Development Hub that do that, but normally we focus on, obviously business recruitment, entrepreneurship support, and actual tangible development work of structures and sites. But we have recognized, especially in Fayette County, there are multiple communities that need access to technical assistance dollars in their downtown areas to perform things like assessments, phase 1 environmentals, strategic plans, hire engineers to do pre-engineering work, so that we can get to the point of doing that actual tangible development work. So a lot of these communities have buildings that are owned by the city, and they just don't have that flexible funding to get over the hump to decide to get to the point of the actual development work. So we're working with the West Virginia Community Development Hub to put together a USDA RCDI application. And what that RCDI application will do is give us a pot of technical assistance money that, working with these communities with the hub will develop and work intimately with several communities to provide strategic visioning, identify projects, and an overall community development strategy. We would then work with the hub and the municipalities in Fayette County to identify redevelopment projects that NRGRDA could help find funding to get accomplished. And if that project needs pre-engineering work or any of those pieces I mentioned before, phase 1 environmentals, asbestos assessments, any of those, we would have technical assistance dollars to allow those municipalities to get that work done as part of this project. Where we are is that we do have a questionnaire. Because the funds are limited, we can't pick every community in Fayette County. So we have a questionnaire that I have sent over to all the mayors in an email that we will need them to complete to see the most high priority and high capacity communities that could utilize this funding, so that we can then apply for enough funding and identify which communities are high priority to be part of this project. So I think this is going to take up a large portion of our meeting next week. And I think I might even invite someone from the West Virginia Community Development Hub to help with that meeting, but we do very much need engagement from each of the municipalities in order to identify what opportunities and challenges they're facing and how we might be able to get technical assistance to help them. So those are our 3 big projects that we're working on specific to Fayette County.
Question, what is the
Sure.
range of technical assistance? You mentioned environmental assessments and engineering work. Can you give me a better idea of what that kind of assistance?
Sure. So there will be limits, and I think before, when the West Virginia Community Development Hub has done this before with RCDI funding, and it will be based on the need that we identify through these questionnaires. But, you know, sometimes you have I know that Mayor Ingram, I think you have a building right now in your downtown that needs about $10,000 of work done in order to bring it up to code to put a restaurant in it. And that $10,000 would really get you across the mark to be able to have that building up to speed. Am I correct on that?
Yes, she has applied and received the UCAN grant from Kanawha County Commission, even though the building's in Fayette County. We're about $30,000 short. I'm having a special finance meeting to try. She wants to open here in April. It's a garden to table type restaurant, panini type stuff, and it's going to be excellent. So yeah, I need some help, and I need it quickly, but I don't think there's anything out there that can move that fast. So we're going to try to find a way to move on with it, and perhaps work something out with that. So.
Well, what is the which building is it going into? Because Gabe just gave us a presentation on funding that we have for different projects in your area for that very purpose. So
It's the Tabbitt building where Louis Tabbitt had his law office. If you all are familiar with Fruits of Labor, and she is moving a second restaurant here to Montgomery.
nice, yeah, it's really good.
And it's farm to table, and they will sell fresh produce. They will sell fresh West Virginia grown meat from the counter. It's frozen meat. But she has a grant that's buying the freezers, and that we're just having a tough time getting the money for the build out, which the build out's about $51,000. We have covered it all except about 30 of it. So
is it at where you're having trouble with the build out? Have you already gotten all the environmental stuff taken care of then?
we are getting ready to, we're going to have a finance committee meeting Monday or Tuesday, and this is all, we have an MOU to put this on the fast track with Tammy. We're going to have a finance committee meeting to try to find some money to make this happen, even if we have to get a loan or whatever. This needs to happen. And to answer your question, we haven't went to bid yet. There has been a phase 1 on the building. So that was done several years ago when we accepted the building. It's a go. The architectural drawings are done. We're just about $30,000. So if anybody's got any funds at all to give us a hand, it'd be great, because this is going to be a real plus, healthy food for the valley, and I think it would be a wonderful opportunity. So
Can we have Gabe give you a call to get information to try to participate in that meeting?
sure.
Mayor Ingram, we had reached out to Tammy. She's one of our Hive clients, and we have a grant with Tammy on Fruits of Labor. And we had reached out to her and told her, you guys are eligible for USDA RBDG money to build out that space. And that's a $50,000 grant opportunity. The only problem is timing. They probably would not be awarded until, I mean, you're probably looking at May or August. You know, that's one of those pots of money that is rare, because it can be used for construction, which doesn't happen often. We would be happy to help put together an application for that, but I just don't know if it hits your timing.
Would they be able to get reimbursed if they took out a loan or anything like that, if they were awarded the grant?
Well, and we've thought about that. The way that it would have to be, and I could reach out to Abby at the USDA and ask her, because we have those COVID loan monies that we could help you all apply for the loan, and then we could defer for 6 months before the first payment. I just need to check with the USDA. I don't know if they would allow your grant to be used to pay off the loan. That would have to be verified. But if Abby said, and I'm happy to shoot Abby an email at USDA and ask her and just tell her the urgency for the funds are now, we could do a low interest loan from our loan fund to help you all, to help Fruits of Labor. Could the USDA money, if awarded, be used for payback? Now, the only problem with that is you run the risk of not getting the grant. However, considering the relationships that Fruits of Labor has with federal funders, as well as Region 4 and NRGRDA have with federal funders, we could really get some congressional support behind this to move this one forward. I just don't want to advise you and say, yeah, we'll give you a loan and then you pay it off if that's not an accurate use of USDA funds. But again, I don't know if there's any way, and that was the one thing that we asked Tammy was, is there any way to, be flexible with that timeline, because it would be a shame for you all not to apply, because that's the only pot of construction dollars that comes around each year.
Well, that's what we're up against right now. I think the city council is committed to finding a way to make this happen, but it's going to put us in a precarious situation. So we still have to go to bid on the building. So you all know that takes 30 days or so with all the time you bid it, time you have a pre-bid meeting. And the monies that I'm telling you now is an estimate from a local contractor. And that's to bring it up to ADA standards, putting in two new ADA restrooms and those type of things. So, and again, Tammy's already had her architect here. The drawings are done. We're ready to move forward and hope to have the doors open in April or May. So if anyone has any help, and Gina, I thank you so much. And it might be something you'd want to reach out to Tammy on. I mean, you already have, but if there's anything the city can do to sign for something that we, however we can do. But we've been working on this for about a year and a half. And I guess she had maybe some grant funding or something that's buying a lot of her equipment, her walk-in freezer, walk-in refrigerator, her meat cutters, and all of her equipment, ovens. So we got to make this happen. This would be a very, very good plus for the Upper Canal Valley.
Did you pay the cost by doing some of the labor from the build out as part of that program?
I couldn't hear.
We can contact Fayette and see if they have any project-based learning stuff going on as far as their construction programs. See if they could defray some of the cost of construction.
Have not. I know that we're 99% sure that Kanawha County Commission is going to award her a UCAN grant, but those are $10,000 a piece. So, and then she's got some money through some money for some electrical work, but we're still about $30,000 short.
I just know that the Fayette Institute of Technology has a great carpentry program where they do basic stick framing for those kids. And I know that they've worked on other community-based projects in the past. That might be one way to bring that cost of construction down.
Okay, thank you.
Good look at that.
I'm going to go ahead and send Abby at USDA an email, and Mayor, if she says that we can, help you all proactively and the funds could be used later to reimburse that, then I'm willing to help you put together and rally for an application on that and work with Tammy to do that. Because again, I think with the $50,000 limit on that, and the construction dollars don't come around a lot, Tammy's got a phenomenal relationship, and her program is really a great program in West Virginia. So we could really rally for some support on that one for you all. But I do just want to make sure we can do that.
And we can use her program here because it is to help challenge teams. It is to help challenge folks. And And this is just her second expansion. She may want to go into some other communities. So when the other mayors get on here, it might be an opportunity for them to maybe reach out and see if she wants to move into some other communities. But this will be her second store, and I don't think she's ready to quit. She's pretty energetic.
She is, and just, I know that the premise for her first store was she hired victims of domestic violence and taught them how to work and taught them skills to work in the stores and everything. So it's a really, really great effort, especially for.
And if they stay with her long enough, I think they end up being a master chef.
Yeah, that's even better than I thought, so.
And we have VOA coming here, Volunteers of America. They're coming to Montgomery to working with Montgomery General Hospital. So that's for a program for addicted mothers and their babies have drug issues. And we have acquired the Tech President's house to house those folks. And we've got, again, the city of Montgomery owns that building now. So we've got renovation dollars we're going to have to do there. But I think VOA out of Louisville, Kentucky has all those grants in place. So Tammy is going to hire these ladies as they're ready to transition from treatment. So it's going to work hand in hand. And that's why I say I've got to make this work, because I have another organization coming in out of Louisville, Kentucky that will need jobs for those folks. And
I wonder if there's anything the Challenge Academy could do to help you too. What if they're teaching any, kind of like Gabe mentioned for FIT, if they're teaching any skills that the kids might be able to.
I don't know. I was in a meeting this morning. That's why I was late getting to this meeting. I was in a meeting with them this morning with another venture that we're working on down here to share some buildings, and don't know. They may be able to do something there. They may be able to help with whatever we need to do. So that's an option. I will say this, there's a lot of balls in the air down here, and I go almost 24 hours a day trying to keep up with everything. We've got a lot of initiatives going on. We've got a lot of things happening, and Tammy is a key part of that. So I really need to make that happen. But we do have an MOU with her that we're going to put this on the fast track. That'll get us by some of the rules of bidding and some of that stuff that we need to get. We need to move on with this. So we're going to find a way to make it happen. But anybody that has any way that could help us just a little bit, I mean, would be great. And Gina, if you need to call me or whatever, I'm available. I took off tomorrow to get my grandson, but I'll have my cell phone. So if you.
Okay. I did just send Abby an email. She's fairly quick at responding. And if she says that we could use that to back pay, however it gets floated, then I think we can definitely figure out how to help. We don't, and it's like we told Tammy, we could figure out how to offer her a low interest loan through our loan fund, but we would really like to figure out how to get the space built out without debt on it, obviously, for the town. So
right, and we are giving her very, very attractive rent. I mean, she's not gonna get this rent anywhere else. The building's owned the city. It was donated to the city by the Tabbitt family, and we're doing everything we can do to get her here. I want to say one other thing before I get off here. Good News Fayette County, I think, is next week, the week after. I think Terrell Ellis from Kanawha County Commission has been invited, and Jeff Lusk from Hatfield and McCoy Trail. The folks that are on here may want to tune into that. I was on a conference call about 8 o'clock last night, and Kanawha County has finished the massive, big trail system from Charleston to Golly Bridge, which goes over into Fayette County. I think Terrell's going to be there to kind of tell folks what's going on. It's been an ongoing program now for about a year, and it's huge. And I think that NRG, I think she may have been in contact with you guys and try to share that with you. But anyone that wants to hear a little bit about it, because it's not in its final stage yet. But I think Terrell and Jeff Lusk is going to be on Good News Fayette County next week to share a little bit of that. So just wanted to say that if you have an opportunity and want to know what's going on from Smithers and Montgomery downriver towards Charleston, that will that will absolutely hook into the New River Gorge trail system. And it's all kinds of trails. It's 4x4s, it's Hatfield, McCoy's, and Montgomery, a large track, and it goes pretty close to Oak Hill, I think. So there may be some outlets up there, but I don't know I'm not at liberty to share the program documents yet. That's they still have to do some final touch-ups on it, but anyone that wants to know what is going to happen, they will be on Good News Fayette County next week.
Do you know where in Golly Bridge it's gonna end out? What the location is?
I couldn't hear.
You know where the trail will come out in Golly Bridge?
Somewhere on the south side of the falls, which is over across from, well, it's almost across from the shoot, where the visitor center was there. I think it's over in that area. It's big. I mean, when you see the map, this is big. And it's going to accommodate a lot of activity, and most of it, well, I'll say the Hatfield McCoy Trail, most of that's in Fayette County. There's just a very sliver of it in Kanawha County, but it's in this plan. And right now they have a right of entry to the property, and they're in the property mapping it out now. They have Jeff Lusk and Hatfield McCoy's. But the majority of that, and it's hundreds and hundreds of acres back in there. They're working with the land company, but they're in mapping it now. And once they get it mapped, they have to do all their permitting procedures. And I would say that trail would probably be here in 12 to 18 months. That's the projection on the Hatfield McCoy Trail. But it will, the main entrance will be up Morse Creek, which Montgomery's hoping to go to Kanawha County Commission and get and maybe annex that or get a boundary adjustment so our police officers can help them with stuff on that trail. So there's a lot of things going on around Fayette County that's big too. And I just see this as with the New River Gorge Development Authority and with what Kanawha County's doing, it's going to be one heck of a trail system. And I think we need to, once it can be published, once we can all get together and sit down and say, how's this going to connect? And especially with like you said, with that being a national park now, we have a lot of potential here. Fayette County sits on the most beautiful part of the state, in my opinion. I just think this county is beautiful. So I've said enough. I'm going to be quiet, but if you have any questions, let me know or give me a call.
So I think for the purpose of next week, I need to go ahead and send out again this questionnaire to the mayors so that we can identify which communities need to be included for the potential technical assistance grant that we want to put together. And then I think, like I talked about earlier, if we can start discussing, I might ask the mayors to go ahead and bring potential sites that they see for infrastructure development because of those funds as well. And then hopefully by next week, I'll be able to share the one pager with the WVU Outdoor Economic Development Collaborative proposal. And you all can get a better idea of how we're trying to work together to recruit the outdoor economy to the New River Gorge region, specifically Fayette and Summers counties. So I think that's probably all I want to go over today. Commissioners, do you all have any questions for me or anything that you could see would be more helpful?
I got one question. I put together some stuff, but I'll wait till next week.
Okay.
But I want to know, can you take an ARC and an AML grant and use it in conjunction with each other for a project or an outcome or goal? Can you do that?
Do you mean specifically for maybe like site development and infrastructure development?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm sure you all saw the $8 million airport announcement last week. At some point, John's familiar with that project. Has been my focus for a while. There were 9 different funding sources stacked on that, Tom.
Okay.
So you can absolutely do that.
That's something I've asked about and I've talked about doing before in order to give an outcome or a goal, utilizing different grants together for a project. So I think
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with infrastructure development. Now, sometimes when you get into programming grants, they're a little precarious about matching federal dollars with federal dollars. But with infrastructure, typically with the ARC and US EDA infrastructure, they actually like to work together and match. So yeah, absolutely. And normally the way that I work when we look at these large site these infrastructure projects is I like to map out the area and then get an engineer to do some pre-engineering work about the most usable acreage, map out, and then do a cost analysis for infrastructure extension and earthwork, and then work backwards to say, okay, here's the big picture that's going to cost $3 million. Now let's start figuring out how we stack our capital together to get to that point. And sometimes it's a phased approach of like, you can only get 2 million at a time to get extended so far, but we can work through that. The utility companies play a big role in that. AEP is a huge driver for infrastructure development with us. They commit to a lot of our projects. So yeah, that's really my specialty is packaging together those deals to be able to get some infrastructure for developable acreage.
Yeah, that was another thing I talked about. If you can take a project and break it up into a 4-year project, and it makes it more feasible to get the grants to do it also. Is that what you just said, basically?
Yeah, absolutely. If you can phase out a large project, if you've got, 400 acres of property and we phase it, 40 acres at a time, those funds, again, remember, are revolving annually and get reallocated and reappropriated from both of our congressional representatives that sit on appropriations. So we have a really good opportunity to get access to those funds, and both Manchin and Capito go to bat for us a lot with that money. And so again, we like to have consistent infrastructure grants in each year of allocations and appropriations from Congress. So that's really all I have today without the rest of the mayors on. I do want to put together an email to them to ask them to attend next week and come with their questionnaires built out and a list of their concerns and high priorities so that we can start figuring out where each community is in terms of the larger scope for Fayette County, and also where they fit into this outdoor recruitment opportunity in terms of outdoor infrastructure assets, and then also just tangible properties that we could recruit companies onto as well. So I will get that out to all the mayors this week. I'll work with Amy to make sure that she has everything as well. And then if there's anything in the meantime, you all don't hesitate to reach out.
Okay, so I can activate you for the 17th, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tom and Allison, John has my cell phone number to text me anytime. He's welcome to give that to you all, as well as Amy has my email address to reach out anytime you need it. I just have John's because he's my board member.
Okay, and Greg, Gabe is going to reach out to you to talk to you about funding and also to give you a contact at FIT for when you get to the construction stage. That's what I wondered if we had.
Okay, so when can we have it? An hour. Okay, Jenna, 1 o'clock on the 25th.
Is it too far out?
Let me make sure. Yeah, that works for me. And then I'll send the mayors that questionnaire to try to get back to me before then. But Tom, if you want to start talking sites before that, give me a shout and I'm happy to come over and talk about them.
I need some maps too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Will you let me know when you show those to her so I can see?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I'm going to put you both an outline for the breakdown, and then I get the maps that look like, you can talk separately together while you
Hey, Mayor Ingram, while you're here, I just got an email back from USDA and she said that we could work with that. So let's talk this week.
Sure. And let's talk as soon as we can. Again, I will be on
Yep.
the road tomorrow, but I'm going to have finance committee, special finance committee meeting early in the week and probably a second city council meeting shortly thereafter, as soon as I can get the notices out under legal timelines. And that would be wonderful. So I'll reach
Okay.
out to you, Gene. I think I've got your number. I'm not sure, but
I'll shoot you an email with some times that work in the next couple of days. Let's connect. And like I said, we've got till March 31st to put a package together. We can go ahead and work on getting you all some funds to advance the work, and let's talk through what that looks like.
okay, thank you.
Sure,
Thank
no
you.
problem. You're welcome. I'm glad we can help. That's a really great project.
That's a great project. Yes, it is.
Okay, I just have a couple of things this just made me think of that I want to throw out there. So, you know, we have all these issues with that bridge at Boonesboro Road. That's, I don't know if it can be rehabilitated or not, or what
I
it
think we
would
was
cost.
in a meeting about that last year.
Were you?
Yeah, it can't, the expense is just way too high. It was, they would rather see it come down than to rehab it.
Well, I mean, what is it, would it take more to fix it than it would to build a new one?
Yeah, it's like $188 million to rehab it, and to build a new one, I think they said it was about 140 some million.
I was just thinking of trail, because, you know, I've driven my truck over
Yeah.
the mountains, and there's a nice trail that comes
Yeah.
from,
Mhm.
you know, that we can go across Beckwith and get up in there. And I was just wondering if, you know, there might be funding, there might not, but that's something we might want to keep in mind as we're trying to connect
Well, I'm
trails.
wondering if we could have just made it as a walk trail or a four-wheel trail.
Me too, that's what I was wondering, side by side.
I'm gonna send you a picture of one.
You can come through Beckwith though, connect in Beckwith, and it takes you all the way down.
Yeah, but it wouldn't cover my secondary, my primary concern, which is there a way that we can get that bridge to a point where the citizens can use it at least to get groceries and stuff?
No.
Or for emergency.
Senator
purposes.
Baldwin worked on that. Yeah. And the governor worked on it, and they're just,
Yeah.
I think they're afraid of it because it's the same bridge that they had in Point Pleasant that failed.
Yeah, I know.
And they're afraid that they're going to use the same type of bridge there.
Well, my parents had that one.
Yeah.
But I'd just like to know more about why they're saying no. I just
And
want
when
more details.
When it fell, you know, it killed the Mothman. That's why no one can
No,
find
it
it anymore.
didn't. It was because of the curse of Chief Cornstalk that bridge fell.
Okay.
Knew anybody from Point Pleasant. My dad taught school there for 30 years. Okay, another thing is that this just reminded me of, a lot of people have brought up several times airports. Our little airport in Fayette was tiny, and a lot of pilots just don't even want to land on it. But there's a really nice one, a private airport across the river, and kind of near AOTG.
On the left there.
Yeah. It's a really nice
I
airport.
see it on the property viewer.
Yeah, and it's privately owned, but it's got a nice sized runway and a lot of space out there. And, you know, the road, you can get to where you need to go in a couple different directions. But anyway, just something to think about, or building one if that property owner wasn't interested in making money off letting people.
Well,
land
not
there,
only
source
there,
of
but
money.
there's also stuff.
He's got a couple hangars out there too.
Yeah, there's also the ability to put one straight across from the Walmart. There's property back there that would have 100-foot long, 100-foot wide, a 1.5-mile run that they could do easily.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, that needs to be on our radar, and also for you know, airplane, you know, storage and having, you know, fuel and that sort of thing, which we probably don't have there. I mean, it might take longer. I mean, it might not take as long to build a flight line, but it'll take longer to get that infrastructure there.
Well, the only issue that we have is nothing can be seen from New River Gorge. no antennas, no nothing. And that's gonna tie up a lot of this wireless internet that we've been looking at. It's gonna tie up a lot of communication stuff. They just don't want anything to be seen from across the board. So that's some other things that we've got to contend
I
with.
think that's doable. I don't think we need an airport like where we have air traffic control or anything. I mean, we just need something smaller where, you know, I mean, they have an airport that I'm thinking of in Jackson, Ohio, that's a nice little size, and the pilots all have it. You can get the code to go into the
Yeah.
building they have there, and they have fuel, and they have some just landing lights that they put out there, but nothing fancy. You know, they're probably like solar powered or something. But anyway, I mean, it's not a big operation. It's not a relatively expensive operation, but it would, I think serve our needs here.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking commercial airport. I'm thinking like private for people who want to fly in and come here to play.
Yeah, we definitely need to look at something from that.
Because if we want to do commercial, we can look at shuttles from a bigger airport, from
Yeah.
Beckley or even Somersville has an airport. That's it.
All right, well, that concludes our agenda for Wednesday, February the 11th. Our next meeting will be on Wednesday. Wait there. Today is Thursday, February the 11th. Our next meeting will be on Wednesday, the 17th, starting at 9 a.m. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we are closed down.